Very beautiful and a very happy good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all distinguished guests who have joined us for this pre-inaugural session come panel discussion of 3-day, the 22nd INBUSH Era World Summit. I am your host, Professor Nitin
हाँ हो
Arora.
गया ये देखिए ये
I'm your host, Professor Nitin Arora, Professor, Doctor, and Head Reiki Center of Excellence for the Science of Happiness. On behalf of our Honorable Founder President, Sir, Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan, our Honorable Chancellor, Sir, Dr. Atul Chauhan, our respected Professor Dr. Gurinder Singh, Sir, Group Vice Chancellor, MIT Universities, and who are all are behind conceiving this, applying this World Summit. I would like to extend our gratitude to all our distinguished panelists who have taken time to join, and I welcome you all to this first session of this 3-day World Summit. Eunoia, the theme of the session. Eunoia, nurturing beautiful mind for personal and professional happiness. I would also like to welcome, first of all, our Honorable Chancellor, Sir, Dr. Atul Chauhan, Sir. So welcome to the session, sir. I would also like to welcome Professor Dr. Gurinder Singh, Sir, Group Vice Chancellor, MIT University, and all our distinguished family members, MITians, dear students, and people who have taken time to join from all over the world. In the beginning, when I said good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, so this is a clear sign that some people are right now in the late evening from US, somebody's in the afternoon. So the theme, we are right now in India and we are talking in all the time zones right now. Let's come back to the theme today. Eunoia. Eunoia means the beautiful thinking. So when we say the session that we are hosting is in the domain of happiness, and we have taken up a wonderful theme for this 3-day, for this first session that we are doing called Eunoia. Let me just give you a brief overview of the session, and then I will be introducing you to the all worthy delegates who have joined for the session. Eunoia means the beautiful thinking. Happiness is a shadow of a beautiful mind, which is calm, caring, spontaneous, grateful, and is in awe. Eunoia is an approach to develop beautiful thinking at work and in life. So we are here to discover the methods, techniques, some insights, some mindsets from the top leaders from all over the world who are spending time to work in the domain of happiness at various levels. And they have seen the turbulent times, they have gone through the unorganized emotions, feelings, situations, and they have come over that so swiftly and so well. Eunoia is more than just having a flexible optimism, which focus on concerns and control over relationships and to build some thoughts. Let us dare to shift gears from the fearful mindsets to caring mindsets, and let us try to build ways to build conscious organization. Today, we have distinguished guests who have gathered to put their beautiful hearts and minds and thoughts and experiences together to deliberate on what can constitute eunoia. Is eunoia just determining the person's philosophical moral values, or can it inspire all the people and the audience who have gathered here to develop some beautiful mind or a construct or a concept of a conscious behavior? Let's fire up our creative mind today in presence of all the august guests who have gathered here. I will say a small couplet and then I will move forward. Let us start this journey to develop a beautiful mind, more than the flexible optimism, more than the obligatory duty that can guide our actions to move from non-binding arguments to beautifully connected mindsets, and which will help us rejoice life. I welcome you all once again. I will be playing a short video in the beginning. Just 1 second. So that was the short video of the concept of happiness. We say the ABC of happiness is the screening stop ITT. Can you just double confirm me? Okay. So with this, I would like to take the privilege to introduce our distinguished guest, and I will read brief profile of each individual guest who have joined us from different domains of the uh, life. We have been joined by our Honorable Chancellor, Sir, Dr. Atul Chauhan, Sir, who has given a wonderful thought that we create centers of thought leadership across the world where faculty, scientists, and brilliant students can explore and expand the frontiers of knowledge and be happy. He is at the forefront leading the MIT group all over the world. Now we have 11 campuses and 14 campuses across the globe. Welcome, sir. We have been joined by our Group Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Gurinder Singh, sir, who is the mentor of MIT Group. And we are, so his profile, Professor Dr. Gurinder Singh, sir, is the Director General, MIT Group of Institutions and Vice Chairman, Global Foundation for Learning Excellence, and has an extensive experience of more than 25 years in institutional building, teaching, consultancy, research, and industry. He is a renowned scholar and academician in the area of international business. He holds a prestigious doctorate in the area with postgraduate degree from IIFT, and he has been illustriously top with 7 merits. He has spoken at various international forums, which includes prestigious $1 million roundtable conference at Harvard Business School, Thunderbird Business School, NYU, and the list goes on. He has received more than 25 international and national awards and has graced a host of talk shows on various TV channels. He is internationally recognized as a known professor in the area of management and is known in the field of academics as an institution builder. Welcome, sir. We have been joined by our uh, honorary chairman for Reiki Center of Excellence for the Science of Happiness at MIT University, Dr. Satinder Singh Reiki. A brief profile about him. Dr. Satinder Singh Reiki is the CEO of R Systems, a software product engineering company. The company is publicly traded in India. He graduated from prestigious IIT Kharagpur with bachelor degree in technology. He also have graduated with an MBA degree from California State University, Sacramento. In addition, he attended advanced management program from University of California, Berkeley, and Harvard Business School. We know him as a person who is spreading happiness, seeding happiness all over the world. His initiative, Reiki Foundation, aims to work towards helping women and young girls, especially from less privileged backgrounds, with the goal to help them pursue their dreams. We welcome you, sir. We have also been joined by Mr. Akhilesh Argal. Mr. Akhilesh Argal, he needs no introduction. He is the member of we have the first Ministry of Happiness in India. We call informally the first Happiness Minister of India. So we have a department in state government of MP, Rajay Anand Sansthan, and he is the CEO of that organization of the government of India. He has served IFS 1986 batch MP cadre. He has field experience as divisional forest officer, CEO, Jilla Panchayat Rural Development Program. He has played key role in setting up School of Good Governance and Policy Analysis, Bhopal, now known as Atal Bihari Institute of Good Governance and Policy Analysis. We welcome you, sir. We have also been joined by Dr. Jane Meeser. She has joined from USA, and right now I think it's almost 9 o'clock in the night that she has joined. Dr. Meeser, good evening to you. Dr. Meeser is the Associate Vice Chancellor for Global Engagement at the University of Nebraska, Omaha, and University of Nebraska Medical Center. She is responsible for UNO campus internationalization strategies to expand the UNO global impact by building strategic international initiatives and partnerships. She oversees immigration advising, education abroad, faculty-led short-term and partner programs. She is responsible for university partnerships, agreements, dual degrees, visiting students and faculty, as well as international grant opportunities. Welcome, Dr. Jane. Uh, Mr. Lewis has not joined. We would be soon joined by Mr. Luis Gallardo, who is the founder and president, Happiness Foundation USA. We are just awaiting his presence. I got a message from Dr. Anurag Batra. I think he will be taking time. We have been joined by Ms. Noof Al-Janibi. Ms. Noof Al-Janibi is the director of Emirates Center of Happiness Research, which is considered one of the first research centers in the region to research well-being. Ms. Noof has extensive experience in the field of positive psychology and worked with many governmental entities promoting well-being at the workplace by integrating policies, design initiatives, and programs. She led a dynamic team in developing programs that promote mental health and well-being across the globe. She holds a master's degree in positive psychology from University of Pennsylvania. Welcome, Ms. Noof.
Thank you so much, Professor. Honored to be here.
We have also been joined by Mr. Vivek Verma, the Managing Director of Spray Engineering Devices Limited, SED. Mr. Vivek Verma founded SED in 1992 and is currently the Managing Director of the company. He is the Agriculture Engineering graduate from GB Pant University of Agriculture and Technology, Pantnagar, Uttarakhand. The company grew from strength and now has 3 manufacturing units and employ over 700 professionals. I had the opportunity to meet him in person when I had opportunity to do training for his 300 employees at Mohali campus. It was a privilege to know him as a person, and since then the relationship has been growing with SED and specifically Vivek Verma sir. He has written and presented more than 30 technical papers in India and abroad. Under his leadership and guidance, the company has established its presence in more than 40 countries by leveraging its energy efficient products, innovative technologies, and solutions. Welcome, Mr. Vivek, sir. Professor Mansoor Alali is the president of Alia University, Bahrain. We are expecting him to just join shortly. So Professor Mansoor, Dr. Anurag Batra would be just joining. So with this, I hand over the session to our session moderators, Dr. Godan Singh sir and Dr. Satinder Singh Rethi for the further.
Before that, Dr. Nitin, with permission of the entire panel, it is my honor to invite our Honorable Chancellor, because I always thought that he's one of the most dynamic leaders. I have been with Amity for 20 years. So the kind of happiness that you have been propagating, and specifically in COVID, when you decided to give scholarships to all the students, I think those very small gestures are helping all of us, students, faculty members, and staff, for a very happy center. And thank you for being the patron of the Center of Excellence. Reiki ji has been kind enough to support. Sir, with your opening remarks, we cannot start without that.
Professor Bhavna, thank you so much. At Amity, we are always so proud and privileged that we have great people who have been part of our family for decades. And Professor Bhavna, people like you have really helped build Amity to the stature it is today. And thank you for raising the point. The pandemic was very difficult. Anything that we as a family, for all our students, we always feel like they are our family, they're our children, and unfortunately many of them had difficulties, so we have supported all of them. In the end, the mission of all of us is to create young leaders of tomorrow who will transform our society into a better world, into a happier world. And if we can support these young people at this time when they need help, we have a deep conviction that they will go and help young people in the future who need help at that point of time, and it will be a ripple effect. Professor Nitin Arora, congratulations for the start of this session. You are one of the dynamos of Amity. We are so proud to have you.
Thank you, sir.
There are always people when you meet, they radiate happiness, and you are one of those people. And so I'm very happy that you are heading the happiness initiative within the Amity fraternity, and we have given you the responsibility to spread the science of happiness and the learning of happiness and the spread of happiness across all our students, not only across the Noida campus, the India campuses, but across all the Amity campuses around the world. So the impact that you will have to the student fraternity will be immense. Dr. Gurinder Singh, you have joined us from Toronto. This is your 22nd International Business Horizon. I think for any event or any activity in life, to be at its 22nd iteration shows how much work has gone into it, and we know how passionate you are. And I tell everyone, any organization, to all the young Amitians and students from other universities who are listening, every organization is always built on a very small percentage of people. An organization may have tens. At Amity, we have tens of thousands of people working for us, but it is those small percentage of people who feel that the organization is their family, it is their organization, who work, they don't care about day and night. They are the ones who make an organization great. And Dr. Gurinder Singh is one of those people who has given everything in life to put Amity to where it is. And Dr. Singh, so congratulations. We are thankful to you. And I have seen the program. This is the pre-inaugural, but what an amazing event you have planned. Some of the greatest speakers from around the world will be coming. But I think this, out of all the sessions, the closest session for me is this session today, the pre-inaugural, because of the topic, and because we have Dr. Satinder Singh Rekhiji with us. Dr. Rekhi, I was just before the session started, I was telling all the panelists that Rekhiji is one of those very few people in this world who have a really grand vision to leave an impact to society. And to young people, you will always see there are so many successful businessmen out there, and Dr. Rekhi is really one of the examples of a great entrepreneur, the way he has built his business, out of India into a global leader. But what true great leaders do is they identify a purpose in life and find ways on how to leave an everlasting impact. And Rekhiji, may I say that your organization will surely survive a long time and keep and having an impact. But one thing I can give you as a guarantee, your center of happiness at the Amity University will be there for millenniums. And even after 1,000 years, students will benefit from what seed you have sowed today, not only at Amity University, but we are so grateful as a society at so many universities, because happiness is something we have always tried to imbibe and teach. But the fact that there is the Rekhi Center of Excellence of Science and Happiness at Amity has really given us a focus, and everyone is working with a lot of passion, with a lot of dedication to the Rekhiji. We are so grateful and so proud of the commitment that you're giving. They are great speakers. My gratitude to Dr. Jane Miza from Nebraska, Miss Noof Al-Janebi, for what you're doing in the United Arab Emirates. I always say the UAE is one of the happiest countries in the world. I think the whole concept, it's amazing. We are so proud to have our university there. Akhilesh ji, what you are doing within the state and for our country, you are a pioneer, a leader. We are so grateful to you, Mr. Vivek Verma. Welcome to the Amity panel today and for the panelists who will join. With that, I will just, my message to all the young, brilliant students who are here online today, always remember the fundamental philosophy of Amity is that be truly successful in life, but always care for society, always take care of other people, and make it a daily goal of yourselves that at least make one person happy. You know, you will meet so many people in your day, but if you can make one person truly happy and you can make one person smile, it will make a difference in not only their lives, but your life. So with that, Rekhi, we are extremely, extremely grateful to you for your benevolence and for your guidance and for your path showing. And I look forward to listening to the discourse all the time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your opening remarks, and as always, a lot of motivation and confidence to each one of us. I would now like to take the privilege of inviting our Group Vice Chancellor to take forward the panel discussion.
Thank you, Professor Bhavna Kumar. It's my privilege to give the opening remarks, and I will start from where the Chancellor, Dr. Atul Chauhan, has left. At MIT, we have always tried that we should be able to do amazing things in the area of happiness. I remember that as a 28-year-old, very young boy, I'm not old today also, but as a very young boy, when I joined MIT, Dr. Chauhan, who's our founder, and who has always been propagating the theorem of happiness, he gave us only one mandate. And he said that if you want to do something amazing in life, first see that students to whom you are teaching, the students with whom you are interacting, they really feel happy. I was reading last evening, I was just preparing that what should I speak? And I was going through some statistics, Rekhi ji, and you yourself, you are such a world-renowned guru of happiness. And I would say a great saint who is not only throwing the light or adding the happiness in the lives of many others. And I will give you various instances that how Rekhi ji is helping the people across the world. But there are a few amazing statistics I would like to share, which Honorable Chancellor was also so highlighting. That I think the most important thing in the life is that how you live that life. On the scale of 10, 7.2, and these are the statistics which are available on Google, 7.2, which is 72% top professionals who belong to Fortune 500 companies and who are the cream of the world, they admit that they are not happy. And out of these 72%, 78% say that they have mood swings and they have got mental health issues. 41% of them, they have taken medicines, right, of depression. So you can very well see that with money, can you buy happiness? And before coming here, we also through some questions to our various campuses. And I think one of the question which is coming from across the globe, from our London campus and from our US campus, and from our Singapore campus, I think one question on which I would request Dr. Rekhi that we can deliberate is that can happiness come through money? Right? So maybe that we'll deliberate on this issue. So 72% people who are the cream of the whole world, they are facing mental health issues. They are having mood swings. So can money buy you happiness? It's a question mark. Another statistics I'm giving you, divorce rate amongst the upper middle class throughout the world is 69%. And these are the people who are influential people, who are intelligent, who have the PhD degree, who have got engineering, who have got MBAs, 69%. And if you look at their personal lives, right, they have the story to tell. Another statistics, that those who get a CGPA, which we say the GPA, of about 98%, 82% of the graduates of the Ivy Leagues, and 82% of the graduates of some of the top universities, when a survey was done, they said that at some point of time in their life, they thought that the life was not worth living. So you can see the statistics. Is it going to the top university of the world? Is happiness coming to you when you are at the helm of the affair? If you are the president of the company, if you are doing amazing things in the world, or is it something different? And then last evening, when I was going through some articles, I saw somewhere Princess Diana, and she wrote somewhere that, and I quote here, that person lives for few moments. In life, you live only for the few moments. This is what Princess Diana has to say. Person lives for few moments, and rest of the life is spent in the memory of those happy moments. And I thought that maybe that this is going to be an amazing sentence from where we can start a deliberation, that how we can make daily such moment, which is a happy moment. So I thought that maybe that I will throw these questions to a very able panelist who are here. Dr. Satinder Rekhi ji, thank you so much on behalf of MIT family. Dr. Chauhan, our founder, has very high respect for you. And whenever we sit with our chancellor, just before this session, I was talking to him and he said that the best thing for INBUSH is the happiness session. And there could not have been a better person than Dr. Rekhi, who is personally leading this session. For a very able panelist, I will give you a personal story of Dr. Rekhi, that how he practices what he preaches. Last 2-3 months were very difficult for me. And I think that these were the very difficult times. And I don't know that how Dr. Rekhi came to know about these difficult days. Every day in the morning, I used to get a phone call or a message. And he made a point that someone from US speaks to me. And it was a surgeon who spoke to me. Dr. Rekhi, thank you so very much. I think these are the very few things which makes a person distinguished than something else. And this is what a philosophy our founder has been propagating, that you can forget a person when he is very happy. But maybe that once is a difficult time, you should try to add happiness in life. Thank you so much, Dr. Rekhi, of contributing into the life of so many people, the happiness. And whenever we have gone to Rekhi ji, in the morning, I was requesting that can we take some few initiatives? And Rekhi ji instantly sent a message that yes, please do announce, and we will be able to support it. Thank you so much for doing it, and we will make it possible, right? I can also see a very able friend, Dr. Jane Miza from Nebraska. And I know the amazing work your chancellor has been doing in the area of happiness. And good to see you as an envoy of your chancellor joining. But very warm welcome to you on behalf of MIT family. We can see Dr. Mrs. Noof. We have been following, and I was reading and going through the amazing work which you as a director of Emirates Center of Happiness Research in United Emirates University you are doing. Our congratulations to you. We will like to invite you to our university in Dubai, and whenever you come here, it would be a privilege to welcome you. Dr. Akhilesh, you are not only working for government, but I think the number of initiatives you are taking in government sector, in public sector, in private sector, worth discussing. Mr. Luis Guerrero, founder of World Happiness Foundation, Florida, great to see you. And I think we are so honored with your presence. And by your coming, I'm sure that we will be able to deliberate on this topic and able to understand that what we need to do in the area of happiness. I think we have Mr. Vivek Verma, with whom we are also developing training, consulting in the same area. And a few others will be joining, Dr. Anurag Batra and others. But over to Dr. Satinder Singh Rekhi as our chair and as a moderator to start and kick off the session. On behalf of MIT family, on behalf of MIT University, on behalf of our founder, chancellors, vice chancellors, on my own behalf as a group vice chancellor, on behalf of 200,000 members of Happy MIT family, we welcome you. Thank you. Over to you, Rekhi ji.
Thank you, Gurinderji. Thank you so much. It was really a pleasure listening to Atulji, Nitin, and you. We are talking about beautiful minds, and I think all three of you have such beautiful minds. And then Nitin had said that happiness is a shadow of the beautiful mind. I think the shadow will fall on all your students as I can see it. You've raised wonderful questions, and I think our panelists are there to address them. I will only say one thing, which is that Nitin had mentioned that the mind can be fearful and then it has to become caring, and all of that is true. We have a beautiful mind. It's a garden. Mind is a garden. In the garden, there are flowers and there are weeds. So we have to recognize the flowers and the weeds. And the saying is that whatever you water, wherever you water, that grass becomes green. If you water the roses, roses will become beautiful. If you water the weeds will become stronger. So that's what we need to do. And the question that you asked is a very pertinent question, and which is a question about money. You know, when we were younger, we were told, work hard, make a lot of money, be successful, and you'll be happy. But we have learned it doesn't work like that. The so-called success, and so many successful people really are not that happy. It's the other way around, and which is what I think MIT, a great institution, is wanting to do. Let's make people happy, then make them successful, and everything will be fine. And happiness that we are talking about, and the beautiful mind, happiness with a meaning. You can get success, and it may be empty success. That doesn't work. Happiness with a meaning is what is a beautiful mind. And that meaning is the why of what we are doing, how we are doing things. That we have a meaning-making brain, which is always asking why. Why am I here? What impact am I making? What am I useful? So when the why is answered, we get a meaning and it's an emotion, and then we feel good. So having said that, I'm going to go to Mr. Akhilesh Argal. Akhilesh, you are a person who has A in the first name and A in the last name. So every time in class, probably you are asked first. So I think you're making you're doing a great work in your state. While teaching students in school is a challenge, but spreading happiness amongst citizens all over a state is very difficult. Can you tell us what you're doing, how you're doing it, and whether it's producing results and creating Unoya and beautiful minds?
Okay. Thank you, Rekhi. Namaskar. Respected chair, my co-panelist, and ladies and gentlemen. It's really my privilege to be part of this workshop, World Summit, and I am really thankful to the MIT University for giving me this chance. In fact, our whole programs are revolving around the question which Mr. Gurinder Singh Ji has raised, that can money bring happiness? And Nitin Ji has also raised, can successful people can be happy? So there are a lot of statistics. I mean, if we see the World Happiness Report, and if we correlate the income of the per capita income of the nation and their rank in the happiness report, then it will be very much clear that material prosperity and happiness, they are not directly correlated. Yes, it is necessary that our basic needs, roti, kapra or makan, they should be fulfilled, but it is not. But it has been found that after a certain amount, money does not bring happiness. And same is the true with the successful also. We have been taught that happiness revolves around success, but the research which has been referred earlier, it clearly shows that it is not necessary that successful people are happy in their life also. But as Rekhi ji was pointing out, if you are happy, then definitely you will have success in every field of your life. whether it is workplace, whether it is family, whether it is any other field, whether it is society. So what our programs are aiming at, the Alviram program, which is core of our program, which is basically a self-introspection program. We are in the habit of analyzing other people, finding faults in them, but normally we do not look within. We do not look for ourselves. And all our programs are directed to see yourself, look within and analyze ourselves. Spend some time with ourselves. And once we start spending time with ourselves, we are able to find what are faults in us. And if we realize what are the faults in us, probably we can improve upon them. So this is the core of our program. And we use different tools to sensitize people to look within. We use tools like relationship map, freedom glass, connection, correction, direction, circle of concern, circle of influence. And with these tools, we are trying to relate people with themselves. And if we want to have continuity of the happiness, we have to focus on our relationship, whether they are relationship at workplace or they are relationship in our personal life or they are relationship with our society. We have to find where we are lacking in our relationship. If we want to be happy, then our thinking is, our experience is, we have to have right understanding. It should be the first priority. And second should come the relationship. And third should come the material prosperity. But in today's world, if we look, we are giving first priority to the material comforts. We are giving less priority to the relationship, and we are not trying to develop right understanding. And in fact, I'm sorry to say that most of the educational institutes, they are also preparing students for earning the material comforts. They are not teaching students how to live a happy life. I'm very happy to hear, and it has been my experience also, because I have been associated with MIT University for the last 3 years, that they are continuously aiming in this direction. It is really a great work they are doing. Rekhi ji is also, I have seen him on so many occasions that he is also aiming and helping people to think on these lines. And unless and until we are not happy, probably we cannot be successful in any way of our life. So this was my initial remark. Thank you very much.
Akhilesh, I think you have made very good points. And the introspection part of it is really very important, because we are able to sit with a cell phone, we are able to sit with TVs, but sitting with our own selves has become very hard now. And the other one that you talked about is relationships. If there are 3 things which make us happier, one is relationship, second is relationship, third is relationships. And it's very important. But in your initiative that you're doing, are you getting success in with the introspection part of it, Alviram, that your program you're doing? What is your level of happiness and satisfaction with the initiative? You're doing good work, but I just want to hear from you and let the panelists hear.
So far, we have done Alviram program with around 1.15 lakh people. And we have lot of change stories. They are available on our website also. They are their phone numbers are also available. One can interact with them. And the one story which I usually share is of a interstate arms smuggler. He is from Chhatarpur, my hometown, and incidentally he came in contact with one of the Anand Sansthan volunteer. He attended an introductory program of Albiram, and suddenly I don't know, he must have done some self-introspection, definitely. And he came to attend our program, 1-day residential program, then 3-day residential program, and now he is our trainer. He has left all his illegal businesses, and he is a social worker now. So we have this is the first condition. You may be knowing, Mr. Rekhi, that all our trainers, they are from the volunteers themselves, and who has changed themselves, who has had some self-introspection. They have realized what is lacking in them. Then only, this is the first condition, then only you can become our trainer. So I really, we have amazing result. The only thing is, it is not the priority area of the citizens. That is there. It is very difficult to convince people to attend the program, but once you attend the program, it is very difficult that you can leave the practice of self-introspection. Thank you.
Thank you, Akileshji. Gurinderji, I think, and Atulji, you must sometime visit the state of Madhya Pradesh. Their volunteers are so motivated, so motivated. They don't do it for money. And, you know, volunteering is one ingredient for happiness. And I think they are finding that and doing a great job.
Absolutely, Rekhi, and it will be a privilege to go and visit the wonderful work which Akhilesh is doing in his state, and we will try to imbibe few things in the at MIT also, where we have taken a number of steps through MIT Rekhi Center of Happiness. We'll surely come and visit that.
Thank you. Thank you. I now want to go to Jane in the United States. How do you find the situation in US? Gurinderji said that our happiness is actually declining, depression rates are rising, anxiety is rising, medication is rising. You are, of course, aware of all the medications and the medical things that are happening. How do you feel your country is doing happiness-wise?
Thank you very much. We're looking at how we can support our students at the University of Nebraska Medical Center. It's been a long 2 years for all of us, right? And our students have said, look, we're really struggling. We don't want to be learning remotely. We need that interaction with others. And so we've been working really hard to do what we can to support our students so that they feel like they can be happy, they can be well, because that's what they need to learn in order to learn. And so we have programs designed around 8 areas of wellness at UNO. So those are mental, emotional, physical, occupational, intellectual, and spiritual aspects of our own personal lives that, as we all know, as happiness experts, that impact our happiness and our ability to learn and interact with others. We've really, my focus is particularly on the impact of COVID, because that's also my other job. I'm the Associate Vice Chancellor for Global Engagement. I'm also our COVID officer for the university. So I hear firsthand from students, from faculty, and from staff about how they're feeling about COVID. And we hear both sides. We hear individuals that are saying, I want to come back to learn, to interact with others. I need that interaction with my students, with my professors. I need to be able to walk out of my house and go interact with others. And we hear from people who say, I'm afraid to go back. I'm afraid to interact with others because I haven't done that for so long. So I think there's this whole area that's new to all of us in terms of how do we recover from the pandemic. And I'm not talking about recovery from the COVID itself, but the impact of what it has meant to be isolated. You know, that's actually what we call it. When you have COVID, you have to isolate from others, and isolated not only from COVID, but from the rest of our society in the ways that we were so used to that we completely took for granted. And so that's been a major focus for our campus because we have just seen what a huge impact it has been on our students in that remote learning setting. And so we are now have a campus that's primarily in-person learning. And so we're happy for that, but it's all an adjustment. And so we're just helping 3 people work through that. You know, there's been a lot of work on the impact of COVID on well-being, and we're seeing some of those impacts in full force. So some of the things that we are seeing are, and I'm just trying to grab my notes here so I make sure that I don't miss anything. Some of those impacts are very real, and they're changing, right? So not only are we dealing with the isolation from COVID, we're also dealing with the ever-changing impact of COVID, right? So what we're doing today, it might be different tomorrow, and people are fatigued from that change. So that's been a big focus for us, is to think about how we prepare, how we learn that flexibility. And we're really promoting the idea of happiness and grace. So we have been saying throughout this COVID pandemic, let's treat each other with grace. Let's provide each other grace so that we can spread that happiness to help address some of these tensions, some of these stresses that everyone is feeling with COVID.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you. You raised excellent points. I resonate with you. I teach some classes, and we now do these Zoom classes, online classes. And you know, you mentioned the social skills have become a little challenge. Interaction has become a challenge. And on the Zoom classes, the students don't switch on their camera. They feel very uncomfortable switching on their camera. And when you ask them, why don't you switch on their camera? And they have a good excuse. Our line is not strong enough, and they don't do it. So they are more comfortable on a texting, but not on a face-to-face talking. That's probably the one impact of the COVID on the mental well-being. Well, what do you think?
I absolutely agree. And what we're hearing from faculty is we're concerned. We're concerned about those students who aren't turning on their cameras, because then they're not interacting, and they're not, and they're not able to engage. And we're concerned that that's impacting their grades, and that's impacting their ability to learn. And so I think that that ability to turn off the camera and disengage is really important. And it's, we're thinking about it at the university level. But think about our younger children who are much more developing those skills, and to have that kind of an impact at the age of 5 or 6 or 7 really is very striking. And I think there's going to be a lot that we're going to learn about how that is impacting our very young learners.
Correct. So are you planning to teach the science of happiness in the university at any time?
You know, we don't have that program right now at the University of Nebraska, Omaha. And I think that it's, you know, it's a, as a statistician, it's a difficult concept to measure. And so that, of course, to me is extremely interesting in terms of what are our metrics? How do we measure this? How do we study it in with all of those challenges? And that's what to me makes it so terribly interesting as well. But also that I can't think of a time when it couldn't be more important than right now, because of all the challenges that everybody has around the world. We already had a lot, right? And then, you know, COVID has just added on to everybody's jobs, everybody's personal lives, everybody's financial lives. It has just compounded everything, and there's not a person on the planet that hasn't been impacted. So I think that it's something that we're very interested in, and I think it's something that would be very welcome as a science, because it's also, I think, has a lot of opportunity for growth and expansion, and most importantly, for all of our research impact. The impact of this is huge.
You know, Harvard School is now teaching happiness studies, and it's getting very popular. And we have a center in California State University, Sacramento, which is doing the same thing. So probably, probably this is not the forum. You could consider talking to MIT and us with your other faculty members as to what they are doing in their institutions.
We would love to do that. I think that I will definitely follow up on that. I think it's such a wonderful opportunity, and I think there would be lots of people who would be very interested in that.
Thank you, Jane. The panelists can jump in anytime. It doesn't have to be me talking to everybody, but if anybody has a question for Jane or whoever else, please jump in and do that. I want to go to Louis. Louis, yes.
Nitin, Dr. Batra also have joined.
Dr. Batra, I saw Anurag Batra is here. Anurag, can you show yourself?
Yes, sir. How are you?
Fine, thank you. You're driving, I believe.
I'm not driving, I'm being driven, but yes, I'm in the car. The pleasures of being in India, you can be driven.
Yeah.
And the pleasures of being married also, you can be driven.
You're in high spirits, Anurag, this morning.
Yes, I slept 12 hours. So sleep, good quality sleep keeps you happy.
Very good. So what are the other ingredients for happiness that you know?
No, I think I was hearing her, and I think everything that needs to be said is done. I will only say one thing, and it's not original, I must say. I read a book, and I came across something called a kind candor, which is sometimes in our interactions with people, we would like to give honest feedback, but if we did that in a kind way, we would be happier, because one, we have been able to give feedback, because all of us have multiple relations. So, I love this word kind candor. If you can be able to kindly but still candidly give feedback, so it reduces your own angst, it reduces your own the feeling of not being able to say what needs to be said, but saying it kindly. I mean, it seems like such a simple thing and natural thing to do, that even if you're giving feedback which is not positive, so if you did that and you did it in a way that it helps the other person grow, and not in a way that you're pointing out. So, words matter. And I think if one practices kind candor with oneself also, one can be successful. And again, I was reading this book by Anthony Robbins' latest book called Life Force. And you know, how we feel, our mood, uh, you know, has so much impact on what we achieve, what our health is. And we've been talking of psychosomatic responses. The body has psychosomatic response to being unhappy, being stressed. You know, it is. So I think happiness is also a health creator. I just want to say, or a health enabler. You know, in a positive way. So I just want to say that I'm again happy to be part of this, and I'm happy to listen and maybe learn something.
Anurag, I think you mentioned something good, which is feedback, giving feedback, taking feedback. And I go back to what Jane said, you know, our social interaction skills have reduced so much that we don't interact. So taking feedback and giving feedback has become very hard for us.
The time to listen. Just listen.
Right, right. Anurag, why do they call you an eternal optimist?
So maybe I'm still hoping that I'll grow my hair.
Go
I'm
your
kidding.
head.
No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I'll be honest. You know, that's the term I put to myself. Nobody called me. I put it. And, you know, I am an eternal optimist. Yeah, there's no question about that. And I'm always happy about what is happening. I always stay happy. And, you know, sometimes some days are low energy, but I'm always happy.
Even when you're driven.
Yeah, I mean, jokes apart, you know, I'm blessed to have the kind of wife and children I have. So I'm absolutely blessed. And, you know, those are minor things. You know. Now, after 21 years of marriage, you know, everything is, you know, it settles into an equilibrium or a balance or a happy state, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, everything is good. And there's so much to celebrate, sir. Just slowing down is also important. I have slowed down. My EA of 12 years gave me a compliment last week saying, I see you as calmer these days. So, then I went to a get together on Saturday and I met a friend of mine. She's been my friend for 25 years. And she said, Anurag, you calmer. So, I take that as a compliment. And as long as you make progress, it is all good. So I'm quite happy with life. And, while I strive for other things, I'm happy that my parents are happy and healthy. My in-laws are happy and healthy, and my children are good. And one tries to do, and professionally, it is a race that never ends. So while you got to keep running it, and I am running it, but one thing he's very contented with life. He was contented 30 years back. He's contented now. And, I think you have to be contented with what you have while you strive for more. So though I haven't met you physically, hopefully this year I'm able to meet you face to face. Nitin calls me for things, just happiness. I don't know what I will add, but it's a feeling of, feeling good about it. That's why one shows up. And I think we have to enjoy small things. Sometimes we only celebrate big occasions. So, I don't think I can add anything new, but I'm trying to practice the things I'm telling you. So I'm trying to practice kind candor, because sometimes in my younger self, I have been a little more aggressive than I have been now. So I'm very, very conscious of the fact that words matter a lot. So I'm very, very conscious about my words and what I say. And I'm much more sensitive than I ever was. And I think I'm doing okay there. So, kind candor is very important, even to yourself. And you have to celebrate small things, just things that may seem very, very regular.
Good. Kind candor and loving yourself. That's what I think the opening session was. Nitin was saying we should like ourselves and be with ourselves. So Thank you, Anurag. Thank you very much. We welcome Gary to that you've joined in. It's nice that you've joined in now. Good, good. I was going to Louis. Louis, how are you?
I'm very well. I'm so glad to be here. I see you, Dr. Reki, Dr. Nitin Arora and team.
You know, Grindaji and Atulji, Louis is the happiest man on earth. What is the secret, Louis?
Well, I'm not sure I am the happiest, but I'm sure that I try. So it's in many ways we all know that this is a personal choice. But what we know as well is that not everybody has the same opportunity to choose. And this is why I think these sessions and building awareness around happiness and new paradigms for human progress is very, very important. So congratulations to everybody for this. And a special thank you, Dr. Reki, for your support for all what you do in the space of happiness, including the World Happiness Foundation. And that's why in less than 4 weeks, is going to be the 10th anniversary of the International Day of Happiness, March 20th. And this is quite unique because we were a number of people lobbying at the United Nations in order to create this day. And the creation of the day wasn't just because we wanted to acknowledge that happiness is important. It was because we believe that we need new paradigms for human progress. I think that we are living a moment in the world where we are going as fast as we can, but we don't know where we are going. That's most of the time. And we can go faster, but this is like drink coffee and go faster. But where are we going? So that was the question that for many decades, economists, sociologists, medical doctors, anthropologists, philosophers were asking is, well, what's going on in the world that everybody feels a lot of anxiety, that stress is increasing, that loneliness is increasing, that mental health is probably the first cause today of illness around the world. So that's why 10 years ago, we were able to create the International Day of Happiness. And we believe that happiness is a human right, because even if we know that it's a personal choice, many people cannot choose. That means that the conditions in many ways are very, very important. And working for the right conditions is a responsibility for leaders today. So I think the leadership that you are showing here at the university is very important, because there are many other leaders in the world that they rather getting into fights and using violence instead of smiling and instead of being kind. So I think that we are in a moment in the world where we need more kindness, where we need more compassion, we need more humility. We need to understand that we are not always right. And we need to understand that everybody at some point is struggling. So I think that when we have this mindset that there is enough for everybody, if we know how to manage in the right way, I think that we are really, really wired and ready to create wealth for everybody. That's why what we do, and I personally wrote this book about new paradigms for human progress, and I call it happitalism. So it's not capital, it's not having more, it's about being happier. And actually this is interesting because when we frame, and you all know because you know business, when you set goals, everything aligns to that goal. And right now, the goal that we have in the world is economic growth. So when we have the goal of economic growth, everything aligns for economic growth. But the reality is that human beings are not born for economic growth. human beings are born to enjoy, to understand beauty, to be in awe with our friends, to nurture relationships, to ultimately be happy. And if that's the case, we need new paradigms. And the goal should be getting to happy, not getting into economic growth. So I invite you all to become capitalists. And basically, a capitalist is a mindset. It's not an economic system, it's a mindset. And the mindset is based on freedom to be and being able to escape from fear and manage fear. It's about consciousness, to expand and evolve, because 90% of what we do in life is not conscious, is in the subconscious, and we don't know about that. And it's about happiness, but it's not about happiness for one, it's happiness for everybody. So it's happiness to share. And when we share happiness, that's when we create a ripple effect that is going to benefit everybody. So I invite you to become a capitalist, and remember that the 3 pillars are freedom to be, consciousness to expand and evolve, and happiness to share.
Thank you, Luis. Thank you. Your organization has a goal to make how many, 1 billion people happy? Or?
Well, actually, it's 10 billion.
10 billion.
Because that's the number of people, if we don't have more COVID and if we don't have more wars, that are going to be living on the planet by 2050. That's the United Nations report. So we are right now 7.6 billion people in the planet, and we are expecting to see 3 billion people born within the next 30 years. And actually, that people is going to be born in India, in Africa, in Southeast Asia, most of them. So imagine how many people are going to born. We have the opportunity, at least for those 3 billion, to create the conditions to nurture their growth. So we are really focused on everybody happy. We don't leave anybody behind.
Wonderful. So to Nitin's topic of, how do we create a beautiful mind?
Is that a question for me, Dr. Ricky?
Yes, Luis, you're the man. You're the happy man.
Well, I think that when we look at research, there is a lot going on, a lot in the space of the science of happiness, but as well in the space of understanding the mind. And I think that something that is very important, and for us at the World Happiness Foundation and when we work on research, is that we link happiness with the mind. So we say that happiness is a state of mind. So if happiness is a state of mind, we have to understand the mind. The mind is not the brain, and we know that as well. So how do we cultivate a mind that help us to feel awe or to feel good? And this is the key. And basically, when we go into practicality, we found that there are 3 techniques that help everybody to achieve a state of mind that is close to happiness. One is focus. And focus is something that is very much used in sports. So sports people really know how to concentrate, how to focus their mind, and how to get to the next level. And we know from big enlightened people that focus on one focus meditation is the key for enlightenment for so many people. So it's about focus and concentration. The second technique is contemplation. And contemplation is using the active mind in order to see what happens when you are observing something for a period of time. And something that we realize that when you contemplate, and it could be poetry, it could be art, it could be nature, at some point, the wind is going to blow, the leaves are going to move. When you use that moment in order to integrate that into your life, you are one step closer to a happy state of mind. And the third one is meditation. And meditation there are many different techniques, from mindfulness meditation to one focus point to body scan. I mean, we can go very, very practical. And we know that Dr. Recchi, because as part of the board of the World Happiness Foundation, we have researchers that have interviewed thousands of enlightened people around the world, and they came out with at least 26 techniques that really work. So I think that right now in the world, we have all what we need in order to cultivate a happy mind. What we have to do is to create awareness and to bring those techniques and those tools to as many people as possible, because we don't have to discover much more. We already have enough for people using those techniques and cultivating a happy mind.
So Luis, you're optimistic and you have hope.
Yes, yes. I mean, we have to be. There is there is no light without darkness. We know that. So I think at some point somebody have to be optimistic. It doesn't mean that you are going to be naive. We all know what's going on, and we all know that at some point we are living in a capitalist system that benefits from scarcity. So we all know, and we know that at the business level is the less you have of something, the more it costs. And we see with every crisis, now the petroleum and the price is going up because there is a shortage of surplus. So this capitalism is about less, more money. And that's not the world, and that's not nature. Nature is abundance. Nature is blooming and blossoming every spring. We have enough water in the world because it's the same water that we've been having for thousands of years. And we still think that it belongs to somebody. Most conflicts in the world are based on two main roots: the perception of injustice and the access to resources. That's it. Perception of injustice, access to resources. When we fix that with a different paradigm, we fix most roots of conflict. And conflict is not bad. It's the use of violence that actually increases all the misery in the world. But yes, I'm optimistic because there are very smart people in the world, and we have many kids that have to be born still in order to get to 10 billion by 2050.
Thank you, Luis. Thank you for those wonderful thoughts. Nufa, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm actually having my favorite drink right now, so I'm so happy.
Is that coffee?
No, it's similar to masala tea.
Okay. You need to come to India to have real masala tea.
The original one, yes, indeed.
Yes. So what do you feel about our discussions? And if I know you've studied with Martin Seligman and right with him, the father of positive psychology. So tell us a little bit what you are feeling.
Well, I think all the panelists asked a very powerful question regarding maintaining happiness. And to me personally, especially during the last couple of years, my focus was toward not just what makes us happy, was what to make us aware of our emotions. Because we cannot be happy all the time. It doesn't make sense, and it's not possible, right? I think we need to teach people how to be resilient. Beautiful mind is also resilient mind, which means we understand that we go through different cycles. We understand that we might be sad at certain points. There will be a disappointment during our life. COVID taught us that. And the lesson here is how we manage those inner resources to make us resilient and less harmful situations whenever we deal with those situations, and it's less harmful than we expect them to be. And what we have done in our center during the COVID, because we do not have a therapy sessions that we're running through the center umbrella. The university have, of course, that sort of facility for the students, but we have reached a tremendous emails and messages from students that they cannot handle the remote studying and they feel lonely, they feel isolated, and they miss being around their friends. And the best tool that we can give them is education. So we have run a series of lectures on mental resilience, how to define mental resilience, how do you promote mental resilience, what can you do when you have those sort of challenges. One of the sessions that we have talked about was also mindfulness. I know a couple of you spoke about that we cannot focus these days because we have our phone, which is handy, and we keep on checking on the number of likes and people connect with us and so on and so forth. So those are simple tools. They are existing tools as well. They are part of our culture, religion, and practices, but we haven't paid attention to the importance of these simple tools and link them to our well-being.
No, one thing amazes me. How come you're so young and you're so smart?
Oh, oh, thank you so much. I'm not young, really. I look young. I'm 36 years old, and I don't feel ashamed of sharing my age with anyone. I love reading, and I love connecting with people like yourself, Ricky. I love having those open conversation, and I think it's a gift from my father, who always encouraged us to communicate with people from different religion, different culture, read all the time, educate yourself, because nobody can take that away from you.
Thank you. I think that you have said it, Dr. Rekhi. I think that this is most important thing, which Mrs. Noor has reflected. And I think that this comes through the blessings of the elders. And all respect to your father, who has imbibed in you the great values through which you are propagating positive psychology. We have got many questions, Rekhi now. If you permit, then maybe that we would like to take your questions. Before this session, we have circulated a questionnaire to all universities. As you know, that MIT has got 11 universities in India, 17 foreign campuses, and we have got quite a few questions from the students. So next 15-20 minutes, we will spend on these questions. If you allow, Rekhi, is that fine with you?
It's fine, but then we do Gary and Vivek.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will come on to Mr. Gary and to Vivek ji also, and maybe that we will request them to also speak and reply to these questions. So Mr. Gary, Mr. Vivek, and this question is to Mr. Lewis and to Mrs. Noof also. But we'll first like to listen from Mr. Gary and then from Mr. Vivek, and then maybe that both of you can comment on it. It's negative psychology versus positive psychology. So this is our research scholar who is doing a PhD in psychology. And the question is that how you can turn up negative psychology into positive psychology. Another psychologist who is teaching psychology is adding to this question that what is the difference between a psychiatrist and a psychologist? So
these questions are best for Noof actually, but Gary can answer.
Yeah, but what is the difference between the two, and who is needed more? As Mrs. Noor, you were saying that many times in life your negative emotions come up. So it's basically how you at that point of time you are able to meet the mental challenges which are in front of you. So we would like to understand how to create positive thoughts when the negative thoughts are coming in your mind, and what is the difference between negative psychology and positive psychology, and what needs what? Do you need more of psychiatrists or more of psychologists? But we'd like to hear first from Mr. Gary, and then maybe Mr. Verma, you can comment, and then we will come to Mr. Lewis and to Mrs. Noor. You are on mute, Mr. Gary.
There we go. Is that fine? Good reception?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
In deference to Jane, my role on this panel seems to be the Anglo-American alpha male with the classic Washington, Wall Street, Ivy League background. So I typify that background. I have spent most of my life profoundly depressed and highly functional and accomplished. Those are not contradictory terms. If we listen to Prozac to some extent, the purpose of therapeutic drug serves its purpose on the negative psychology, but does little more. It doesn't abide, and it doesn't provide happiness, and it doesn't provide accomplishment. It simply provides maintenance any more than any other drug. And these days, psychiatry has become no different than cardiology. You have an illness, we are going to prescribe a drug. It's very little that addresses happiness. I have always had to, and in Judaism, we have this duality. I have always had the accomplished, profoundly happy side of life, acting concurrent with profound sadness and depression and life's unfair vagaries. So we approach them, I think, concurrently. And per your student, the difference between psychiatry and psychology is that they're two entirely different disciplines addressing two different topics completely. As Noof pointed out, the need to focus on happiness of the mind is rarely a concern of someone who feels that you're SSRI deficient or something of the kind. They're simply prescribing you a drug. And your ability to excel personally, professionally, particularly if you have a beautiful mind and are a creative individual, is contradictory in that there's the duality between the two parts of you. So I have always, when it comes to happiness, found myself profoundly blessed and happy in morning prayer and profoundly depressed most of the rest of the day. And yet have somehow managed, as they say, to fail my way to the top and make some reasonably important contributions to both family and society.
Thank you, Mr. Gary. I think that this is a wonderful remedy which you have given. Prayers, meditation, and starting your day with positive thoughts, they really help. But our question to Mr. Verma and to Mrs. Noor is that is there any medicine for happiness? Because most of the time when the people, they are feeling low, they go to psychiatrist, they have long session with the psychologist, and some medicines are prescribed. So do you think, Mr. Verma, we'll first we'll ask you, and then we will take opinion from Mrs. Noor and from Mr. Lewis. Do you think that there is a medicine for happiness, or is it through prayers? Is it through some dedicated technique? Is it through meditation, or is it through listening the words of wisdom from your elders, as Ms. Noor was saying, that she is getting positive energy from her father? That helps you.
To me, the happiness comes when you help anyone. Even if you are in need of the help, even in that situation also, when you help somebody, that gives you a positive energy and it starts a positive change in you. So I don't think medicines can bring the happiness. It is the positive thinking and a positive dream, a positive future. Even if you're present, you may be a rich person, but if you think that in future you will not earn any money or you are going to lose your money, then it brings you sadness. Even if you don't have any money and you are in a great trouble, and then you get a hope that you will be getting good future, that brings a lot of happiness in the person. And even if you are in trouble, when you help others, then you start a positive change in yourself. So to me, positive thinking and helpfulness and living in a community even if you are rejected, even if you are mediocre, but you are living and working for the society, that makes you happy. So to me, I'm a great supporter of mediocrity and a social bonding of the groups. And the bigger tasks are achieved by the group which are helpful to each other.
Thank you, Mr. Verma. I think the message has come to us that by helping others, you can actually help yourself, and by creating happiness, you will be able to be happy yourself. But we would like to understand from you, Mr. Lewis. You are a professional. You have been the founder of the World Happiness Foundation. Your mission is that you will be making the world the happiest planet. Mr. Lewis, what do you think? Why is it so that people across the globe, they are feeling depressed? I gave you some statistics in the beginning. 72% of the top professionals of the world, they are admitting, and this is on record, that they are having mental health issues. They are having mood swings. They are not happy from inside. Divorce rate is getting very high. People are going for suicides. So, well, even after accomplishing so much, why is it so that negative thoughts are putting a person and is taking all his happiness from his internal core? And what is the remedy? What do you suggest?
Wow, that's a big question. And I think if we had the answer, we wouldn't have so many cases of depression and so many cases of anxiety. So I think that right now, even if we know what is the remedy, it's very difficult to implement the remedy because we are living in society. And in society, we have the pressure from the others. So unless we really go deep into getting rid of layers, and layers means we are born in one country and we want to belong to one country, to one family, to one religion. And when we attach to all those labels, we start building our identity. When we build our identity attached to so many labels, there is a moment where we lose the connection to our essence. And our essence is pure light. Our essence is pure love. And we disconnect with ourselves. So imagine how we disconnect, because now you go to get a COVID test, what do you get? Positive or negative? What is better? It's negative. So actually you have a negative COVID test, and that's great. So imagine we are just giving meaning to charged words, and words have power. So we are giving power all the time to things that are outside ourselves. In China, we all know that crisis means opportunity. So, and this is part of the solution. It's not about negative or positive, because there are so many things in the middle between one pole and the other pole. It's about the reaction that we have when we don't feel good or we feel good. And this is what we are lacking in this world, is the understanding of how to react when something happens to us and we don't feel okay with that. And the remedy is called acceptance. And the remedy is called self-compassion. If we have to start with something in the world, it will be loving ourselves. The moment we start loving ourselves, we are going to be ready to love others. And the moment we love others, that's it. We don't need anything else. But we are so far away from the connection to ourselves. So right now I talk about three major separations in the world: the separations to ourselves, the separation to our communities, and the separation to nature. We have separated from ourselves, from communities and nature. That's why we have so many cases of stress, of anxiety, suicide, because we don't feel connected to any of those three elements: self, communities, and nature. How do we solve this? By reconnecting. So we have to reconnect to ourselves, we have to reconnect to our communities, and we have to reconnect to nature. And then how do you reconnect to nature? Well, you love nature, and you understand that you're part of nature. We are of nature. However, we think that nature belongs to us and we can use it the way we want. No, actually, we are of nature. And how do we reconnect with our communities? Well, understanding that we are interdependent, that life on Earth exists because we are interdependent. If there is not interdependence, we cannot create ecosystems. And if we don't have ecosystems, we cannot live on Earth. That's the only reason there is life on Earth, because the interdependence of all living beings. And how do we reconnect to ourselves? Well, we start with self-compassion and acceptance. And it's not about I'm feeling this negative emotion. No, I'm feeling one emotion. If I call it negative, it's me. But sadness is as important or even more important than joy, because sadness is linked to growth, to personal growth. Anger is super important because anger is related to injustice. What happens when we don't control our reactions, that we use violence when we feel anger? But if we feel anger and we funnel this in the right way, we are going to be making difference and making changes, but we are going to be doing it in a positive way. So I think this is kind of the long answer, but I think the key here is self-compassion, understanding the interdependence, and being an understanding that we are of nature.
Great. I think you have given a very important formula: self, nature, and community. And if you concentrate on these three, you are able to overcome your emotions. I would come to Mrs. Noor, and then Rekhi, you have been practicing quite a few things. So there's a question which about 25 of our scholars, they want to ask you. So I will come to that question. So maybe that you will be able to enlighten, and then I will come to Dr. Jain, one or two questions from your side. My question to you is, Mrs. Noor, that I think that you have been practicing, you are the director of Center of Happiness Research. What do you feel? Because whatever you may say, even if you are practicing mindfulness, you are looking at positive emotions, still in your life, there will be stages when you feel suffocated. And quite a few of our students and professionals who are attending this session, they have asked a question that when in your life you face such circumstances, when you are feeling suffocated, when you feel that success is not coming to you, what you should do. And as our founder, Dr. Chauhan, many times says that 85% of your success comes through behavioral science. Like 15% comes through you, actually through your classroom teachings. Do you agree, or do you feel that there is some other art of living? Should we teach students how to be successful, or there should be a theorem where we should also tell them that you should know how to fail also? Because it is very important that you learn both the aspects of life. Only getting success, and one moment you are not getting success and you feel down. What is your view?
Such an important question, because I know in schools and in life we always focus on what is success, how much money we make, and what do we need to do, and so on and so forth. I think it is important for students to learn life skills along with other skills as well, like with other academic skills. It is important for engineers to learn about engineering, and for psychologists to learn about psychological techniques and so forth. But we need to teach them life skills. And the question also reminded me of a TED talk that Lucy Hown from New Zealand, I cannot recall the institution that she works at, but she talked about one of the aspects that resilient people must have. Challenges is a part of our life. And this is a fact that we have to accept. No matter how positive you are, no matter how wealthy you are, how much people you have surrounded by you, the challenge will come. there will be days and times where you will feel down, where you feel sad and perhaps depressed. But most importantly is that you reflect and connect with yourself and understand the source of the emotions. Where are they coming from? And why are you feeling that way? Is the challenge brings those emotions? Is it the word that you heard from other people? So understanding those emotions helps you at least knowing how to deal with them. And Susan David also talked about emotional agility, which means that we are agile. We need to be agile and we need to be flexible when we are experiencing different emotions, and labeling them, as she says, and having emotion literacy is really powerful tool to sort of like not control. I don't like to use the word control emotions, but to manage, deal, and learn. As long as you learn about yourself and your emotion, you will be able to live more meaningful, purposeful life. I hope I answered that question.
Yeah, I think that that was wonderful message of yours, that how you should manage and how you should deal with your emotions. We will come to Mr. Gary. I think that he is raising his hand also. And then Ricky, maybe that you will be then concluding and giving your remarks. But we really want to understand two concepts in your life, whether you should resolve or you should react. Most of the times when you are in a very tough situation, you can either resolve that situation or you react to that situation, right? As per the research which is there on the internet, 90% of the people, they react. So there is something which comes in front of you and you react, right? You are sad, you react. You are angry, you react. You are unhappy, you react. You fail in a relationship, you react. You are not getting a business deal, you react. Your marks are not 99.9%, you react. Right? And there are few who will try to resolve. Okay, fine. If it's not 99.9% students, not to worry. You are good with 90 also. If there are problems in a relationship, no problems. Right? We'll manage it out. Right? We'll work it out. Right? So this is not the end. There will be another relationship. Maybe one business deal is bad, but the things will improve. Today markets are coming down, but the markets will go up also. So if the thinking is like that, then maybe that you will never feel depressed. But at the moment when you are having those issues, how to resolve that conflict from within? Is it through meditation? Is it through prayers? Or is it through medicines? That is what we want to understand. Maybe that, Mr. Gary, we would like to understand from you. And then Mr. Reiki, we will pass that to you for your remarks. Thank you.
Yeah. I don't think there's any doubt that it's arguably more with meditation and prayer. That's not belittling the medical aspect of chemical imbalance, but as you noted, addressing a chemical imbalance, whether it's a cancer of the mind, whether it's a cancer of the bones, doesn't address the happiness and doesn't address how you approach life. All of that is far more meditation, prayer, and perspective. I had posted a question which I would like to place to the panel, which is why there is such an epidemic, particularly in Western professional men, of self-loathing and self-hatred and a lack of appreciation of themselves across professions, across nations. This seems to be the epidemic of our era in the West. But there is that uniform self-loathing, self-disdain that bears no relationship to their accomplishments professionally, to their accomplishments familially.
That's a beautiful question. If I may, just in 1 minute, from a sociological point of view, we call this moral wound. So there's a big moral wound We all are born with wounds. We have to discover what is our wound. But when we all know that we have wounds, and you add on top of it the moral wound, this is really bad. I just came from a retreat in Colorado with veterans of war. And this is the societies that we are creating. We send people to war, they come back, and they want to kill themselves because there is a moral wound. And then you have to heal them and their families, because it's not just them, it's their caregivers. And there are millions of these people around the world, everywhere. So imagine the systems that we are creating. Imagine what is going to happen now in Ukraine and Russia with all these people forced to survive and to kill each other. I mean, I think that this is a big debate, and this is something that's why we have the World Happiness Foundation, because it's not just about the positive side of things, it's about the roots of suffering. And we suffer because we have so many pressures, and we don't know how to react to those pressures. I love diving. You know, diving is an amazing sport. And when you are underwater, the first thing you learn is what you do when you have an issue underwater. Any of you dives here? Can you imagine? Can you tell me what do you do first when you are underwater and you have an issue? What do you do? Well, actually, you don't react. You stop. That's what you do. Underwater, you stop. What is the thing that you do? You breathe. So actually, that's the thing you do. You stop and you breathe, and you keep breathing. And after that, what do? You think. So stop, breathe, think. The fourth step is act. So imagine, we say we are reacting. Well, when you dive, that's the last thing you do. The first thing you do, you stop, then you breathe, then you think, then you act. So I think that we are missing steps right now in the world. And we are having too much coffee and going too fast. So we should relax a bit.
Thank you.
May I just jump in and just comment on Gary's question, because it is such a powerful question. I may not come from, I mean, my answer may not come 100% from literature, but I do recall a study about the effect of media and what's the media is actually playing all the time on those people, and what the image they want us to be. And when we cannot reach that image, then perhaps we do experience self-loathing and self-disdain. And sometimes the representation also of sometimes when we are in a closed culture and we have the media that keeps putting those all information into our minds, and not having an open discussion with different people with different perspective and culture and so on and so forth. I think this is one of the main factors that plays with that phenomena, Gary. And thank you. Such a powerful question.
Thank you. Dr. Reiki, your comments, and if any of the panelists also wants to go to give concluding remarks, and then we will conclude this session, and then there's a presentation ceremony. Over to you, Reiki, your comments.
Thank you, Gurinderji. I want to congratulate you, Atulji and Nitin, for setting up this initiative. I think you're doing a great job and doing it so well. And I think we need to do more and more of this. There is, I don't know if there's a time where we'll say happiness is enough. We've reached a point where there is enough of happiness. That may not be there. There's no mountain where we'll reach that, okay, we reach a mountain of happiness. But it was fascinating. Akhilesh talked about reflection, and that is very good. We started the session quite well. I really liked that. And I'm fascinated by what Gary said, that he does prayer and he is happy in the morning and he lives with depression and functional. That's wonderful. I'm hearing first time when you can be depressed and still be functional, and it was very good to hear that. And Noof talked about resilience, which is wonderful, and Jane told us the impact that COVID has had and what correction that we need to do. We need to be aware of that. Vivek talked about mediocrity, and he's a practical man in his business. I think he's making people happy. All of that is wonderful. I, for one, want to just say one thing. If I was the only person on earth, I would not be, nobody can say I'm tall or short. I'm good or bad. The brain needs something to compare itself with. So to have happiness, there has to be unhappiness. Otherwise, the brain cannot figure out that it's happy. To experience A, I have to experience not A. Otherwise, that experience is not possible. So there was talk about negative emotions. They're also needed. Otherwise, the positive emotions will not be experienced. So both of them are needed, which is why you were asking negative emotions, positive emotions. Life will be filled with both of them, and we have to be aware that happiness cannot exist without unhappiness. The brain will not know the difference. Thank you very much. I think if anybody else wants to conclude, that'll be wonderful. But it was a wonderful session, and Gurinderji, Atulji, and Nitin, I personally want to thank you for setting this up.
Thank you, Rekhi-ji. I think that it was an intellectual treat to see so many stalwarts talking about happiness. And my compliments and congratulations to each one of you, and our gratitude on behalf of MIT University that you came and you spoke on some of the issues about which the students are really concerned. And thank you so much, students and professionals from across the world, raising those very important issues. We are thankful to each one of you for sending us the questions. And then I hope that you have got your answers. But as Dr. Rekhi was pointing out, that there are 5 intakes which we have taken from this session is that number 1, you need to resolve, don't have to react. So whenever there is a conflict, try to resolve that conflict and don't react instantly. Because if you will react, maybe that you will be able to take a wrong decisions. Most of the suicides which take place, you react. Most of the relationships, when you break them, it is a reaction, just a reaction. A message comes and then you react. On Instagram, someone is saying and you react. So don't react instantly. Take your sweet time, decide a bit later that what you need to do. So don't react instantly, try to resolve. Second very important thing is that if you really want to become successful and happy, also learn the art of failure. It is not always about success. And Rekhi-ji has pointed out a very important thing, that you need to understand both aspects of life, negative as it is as the positive things. So to be successful, also learn the art of being failed sometime. Third very important thing, I think that which we need to look at is that positive emotions and negative emotions will go hand in hand. Maybe that you can look at the 4th important thing, which most of the speakers, they talk about meditation and also having group activities. So try to do the meditation and group activities. Looking at positive side of the life may be able to bring much more happiness into your lives. We as a MIT University, we are committed under the leadership of our founder, Dr. Chauhan, and under the leadership of our Honorable Chancellor and all Vice Chancellor. I can see Dr. Blavinder Shukla, who's the Vice Chancellor of MIT University UP, which is one of the largest universities here, and many other Vice Chancellors who are on road. All our Vice Chancellors, they're working day and night very hard to inculcate the spirit of happiness. And wonderful work, Dr. Nitin Arora, you are doing under the MIT, Dr. Satinder Singh Rekhi, Center of Happiness. And I can see Professor Bhavna Kumar, who is working day and night to implement some of the positive philosophies of our Chancellor and the theorems which we have been propagating from ages. Many thanks to all the very learned panelists. Mr. Lewis, who's the founder of World Happiness Foundation, keep on coming to Amity. It was such a pleasure to see you. Dr. Akhilesh, it was such a pleasure when you start speaking about the positive psychology. It was truly an intellectual treat to listen to Mrs. Noor. I think that it was something amazing which you talked about. And we will call you again. Please keep on coming to Amity. And on behalf of Amity family, we once again thank you. Mr. Vivek Verma, we look forward to start a new chapter of happiness with your company. And thank you so much for assuring that we can start doing consulting with you, and we'll come to you. Our team will be with you. And I'm sure that like many steps we have taken with Rekhi ji, we will be able to take few steps with your company also. And also we would like to thank Dr. Jain, who specially from Seattle joined us. Please convey our regards to your Chancellor, who has done so much work in the area of happiness. I can see our Chancellor, Dr. Atul Chauhan. I would request him to give a concluding remark, and then we will start with the presentation.
I think, Dr. Singh, I just want to add what a pleasure it was to listen to this really intellectual panel discussion, which will grow a long way in furthering what the center, Rekhi Center of Research in Happiness is doing. Dr. Rekhi, once again, our deepest gratitudes to you. And you raised one question, that can one ever get enough happiness? But let me tell you, at Amity, Rekhi ji, when we see you, we get our fill of happiness. And you give us motivation and you fill our tank for a long time. But Rekhi ji, once again, I would like to reiterate the commitment of everyone at Amity, that the vision that you had and you have to spread happiness, we will work together with you. We have one mission. And as Dr. Singh rightly said, when our honorable founder, Dr. Ashok Chauhan ji, as one of the great industrialists in Western Europe, in Germany, set up Amity, which has grown now from about 25 years ago. We started with 100 students. Now we have over 185,000 students studying across 15 countries of the world. It was with one mission, that how can we give the best professional education to young people, but in addition to the education, how can we give them a sound foundation of the right values, of the right beliefs in themselves, the confidence in themselves, to help society and to help other people. And the mission was that, can we bring out hundreds of thousands of young people with the same philosophy to make our world a happier place, a better place. And Rekhi ji, your philosophy and your vision is the same. And when people meet who have the same philosophy, that is when transformational things happen. And everyone on this panel who was here today, all of you have the same mission in life on how to make others better human beings. I think there can be no better a mission in life. So I would like to add my gratitude to each one of you. And I received a message from the office of our founder, Dr. Ashok Chauhan ji, that Rekhi ji, he has passed on a message that he listened to when you were speaking, and he has added his best wishes to you and our gratitude. And Dr. Gurinder Singh, well done for this session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring words. And I think happiness is the best way to start our mega INBUSH era World Summit. But as our founder, president, and chancellor always say, we should always have some outcome. Of course, being happy and starting on a positive note was a very good outcome, but there has to be something tangible. And I'm very happy that Mr. Vivek Kumarji, you've agreed, Vivek Vermaji, you've agreed to also sign an MOU today. So with your permission, Honorable Chancellor and our Group Vice Chancellor, if you agree, we will launch this initiative, sir. And if Vivekji, if I can invite you to say a few words for this agreement that we have brought together, two institutions? Mr. Vivek Verma, could you unmute yourself, please, sir?
See, I happen to come from the same university that our founder was. He started his academic career. So our initiative with MIT University will be to make a very sustainable agriculture and energy, and create environment in which we can do these research and these extension of the knowledge to the people who are actually on the ground, the people who are actually doing farming, people who are actually working on the field, and create a knowledge bank and an environment in which the India as a country becomes a global leader in the sustainability and recycling of everything, and become truly global leader by the entrepreneurship, and not by really creating a burden on the society. The green economy is actually a big opportunity, and this center will bring that all the knowledge to make the green economy a sustainable, economically viable option for everyone. And we want to take this initiative through MIT University and teach everyone that how this can be an economic opportunity, not just an obligation. It's both.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Honorable Chancellor, if you can do the honors and launch the Center of Excellence, please.
Mr. Verma, what a great initiative. We are so proud to partner with you on this.
So Amity and SED join hands for a Center of Excellence for Industrial Sustainability, Research, Innovation, and Well-being. All the assets that I think will lead to happiness of everybody. Dr. Rekhi, it is always an honor to listen to you. I think the biggest takeaway and insight from your talk was that happiness cannot be there without unhappiness, just as darkness will never be appreciated without light, and vice versa. In continuation of the so many things that you have given to the Center of Happiness, we are also very thankful to you that you have be taking a number of other initiatives today. And with your permission, we will launch those initiatives for adding to the Center of Excellence, Amity Rekhi Center of Excellence.
And Rekhi ji, this is our commitment that we are going to make this center the best in the world. And we are underlining best in the world. And you will find that, as our very learned panelists were saying, that they want to create happiness in billions of people of the world. You will find that Amity Rekhi Center is going to play a very, very important role in the times to come. This is our commitment to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Grinderji and Atulji. Thank you very much.
So with your permission, may we launch these initiatives, which will include, but not limited to, we are starting with a postdoctorate in the area of the Center of Happiness and Management. We are also giving paid internships and live projects, and students, when they start working in this area, no better takeaway from them for a happier career professionally and personally. Many training and development programs, just as we have done with SED already, and also instituting awards. I think motivation is also one of the very big ways in which students, faculty, alumni, and doctoral thesis scholars will be very happy. And there are a team of students. Yesterday, when Dr. Nitin was taking a class, it happens to overlook my room. And around the very beautiful campus, Honorable Chancellor, that you have, there's a circle. There was a group of students, and I was wondering what is going on. But his class, I remember, it was a source of happiness to see how he was conducting that. So many volunteers are coming together to take this mega vision to the world. And with all of you, we are sure that we will be able to take many more initiatives together. Thank you.
Great initiatives. I think these will go a long way in furthering the cause of the Rekhi Center of Excellence.
I now invite my co-host Gaurav to please give away the awards and our token of appreciation for the guests.
Thank you, ma'am. I think one of the very important quotes for happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. Happiness is a state of mind, and happiness lies within you. May I now request our Honorable Chancellor, Dr. Atul Chauhan, our Honorable Group Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Gurinder Singh Sir, and our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, Professor Dr. Balvinder Shukla, ma'am, please Amity Excellent Awards to our esteemed panelists today. We are first honoring Dr. Satinder Singh Rekhi ji, Managing Director, our Systems, Singapore, Amity Global for Dr. Rekhi. Next, it is Mr. Vivek Verma, Managing Director, Spray Engineering Devices, Mohali, India, Amity Global Excellence Award for Sustainable Manufacturing Practices. A huge round of applause for Mr. Verma. Next, we are conferring the Amity Global Excellence Award for Happiness Governance to Mr. Akhilesh Argal, CEO, Raja Anand Sansthan, Government of MP, India, India's first state ministry department of happiness. A huge round of applause. Next, move on to conferring Amity Global Excellence Award for Sports Innovation and Research on Mr. Luis Gallardo, founder, World Happiness Foundation, Florida, USA. Once again, a huge round of applause for Mr. Gallardo. Next, we confer the Amity Global Academic Excellence Award for Institutional Leadership on Dr. Joanne Lee, Chancellor, University of Nebraska, Omaha, USA. And Amity Global Excellence Award for Well-being is being conferred upon Dr. Anurag Batra, Chairman and Editor-in-Chief, PW Business World, Founding Chairman and Editor-in-Chief of Exchange for Media Group. A huge round of applause for Dr. Batra. Amity Global Excellence Award for EduTech Innovation is being conferred on Mr. Gary Kurls, Jerome A. Shazen Scholar in Global Capital Markets at Columbia University Graduate School of Business, Chairman of Weird Science Lab, SED Business School, and University of Oxford, UK. A huge round of applause for Mr. Gary. We also offer Amity Global Excellence Award, which is being conferred on Professor Ian Greer, President and Vice Chancellor, Queen's Belfast University, North Ireland. A huge round of applause for Professor Ian Greer from Queen's University, Belfast, North Ireland. He also has sent across a message to us that just allow me a moment to share that message with all of you.
This message is a precursor of the wonderful deliberations that are follow in the next 3 days of our conference. We will soon be having our inaugural after this happiness session at 2 o'clock, followed by the UK India session. So the message of Professor Ian, who also happens to be a recipient of the honorary doctorate of Amity University, will build the way forward for the research deliberations and many, many exciting panel discussions in the sessions to come.
It's a real pleasure and indeed a privilege to be asked to contribute to this important conference. I offer my congratulations on this excellent event, which I know will enjoy much success. I'm also deeply and sincerely honoured to accept the prestigious Amity Global Award. This award is valued greatly by me, both personally and from an institutional perspective. So thank you for such valued recognition, which speaks to our shared agenda and our ambition for global partnerships with impact. When I became President and Vice-Chancellor of Queen's University Belfast 4 years ago, one of my goals was to focus on partnerships both at home and in the wider world. One of my first priorities was India. Queen's, like many UK universities, has a long-standing relationship with this great country. One of our most recent chancellors was His Excellency Kamalesh Sharma, the then Secretary General of the Commonwealth. All good relationships need to be nurtured, especially in challenging times such as the new circumstances of the COVID pandemic, or from a UK perspective, Brexit. Indeed, this is recognised by both the Indian and UK governments. We now have the 2030 Roadmap, an initiative involving governments, the private sector, higher education and civil society. As has been highlighted, this represents a quantum leap in the relationship between our two countries. An enhanced trade partnership, an integral constituent of a formal free trade agreement, is due to be signed at the end of this year. Two enormously significant memoranda of understanding have also been signed. The first was a migration and mobility partnership to promote mobility of students, researchers and skilled professionals. This is important as it will further strengthen our academic links. The second was a global partnership to foster the innovative ecosystem in India through seed funding, grants, investments and technical assistance, so helping Indian investors to scale up. So how do we view these formal agreements? What's their significance in the post-Brexit climate? With its young demographic, India is of crucial importance to the UK as we move further into a post-Brexit era of international collaboration where the UK is keen to forge stronger global bonds. Enhanced partnerships with India will unlock new opportunities to bring together people, ideas and institutions that share a common ambition. Queen's has been closely following your National Education Policy 2020. Through this, we believe there are opportunities to enhance the educational experience of a large number of Indian students at home, and we can move ahead in collaborative partnerships, not only in academic research, but through links with the private sector. For example, the enhanced trade partnership will promote greater links between the Gujarat International Finance Tech City and the UK financial services ecosystem. The proposed free trade agreement would also further the successful relationship between both countries' research and commercial sectors. The benefit of this will be high quality interdisciplinary research in fields such as biotech and life sciences, digital transition, emerging tech, artificial intelligence and cybersecurity. The opportunities are endless. Collaboration makes a real difference. A recent UK report found that joint India-UK funding of over £330 million by 15 agencies resulted in 258 projects from heritage to renewable energy, making a wide-ranging impact. Importantly, these projects have generated more than £450 million in further funding. So this is an outstanding return on investment, both financially and in terms of impact. In summary, this recent formalisation of ties between our two countries presents us with a unique opportunity. Global society will benefit from a highly skilled, highly educated workforce attuned to the needs of the modern world and addressing today's most pressing challenges. At Queen's University, we're proud of the work that our Indian graduates are already doing. They're making their mark right across their homeland and across the world. As university, industry and business leaders in areas such as civil engineering and software development, or in public affairs in dealing with global challenges such as sustainability, energy and the environment. This is the moment for both economies to bounce back post-COVID, to align our business interests and a strategy with universities at its very heart. This is a chapter in our history that will demonstrate the transformative power of universities on skills and innovation. I believe that the value of international partnerships is at a key point, an inflection point of growth, of success, of impact. So I look forward to being part of that growth and to working collaboratively with you in new and existing partnerships.
Thank you for that wonderful message. I believe we have one more curtain raiser. So I would request our Honorable Chancellor and Honorable Group Vice Chancellor, along with Rekhi ji, for raising the curtain on another wonderful initiative today. So may I request our Honorable Chancellor to please click so that we can unveil.
We've already done this, Gaurav, but it's a reinforcement of all the initiatives that we did it, and there must have been a communication. But I think it's been a wonderful session. Dr. Nitin, just 2 minutes closing remarks from your side as the head of the Center of Excellence at Amity.
Thank you, Professor Bhavna. Thank you, Gaurav. First of all, my deepest gratitude to each of the distinguished panelists, and sincere gratitude to our Honorable Chancellor, Sir, Dr. Gurundan Singh, Sir, Dr. Balvinder Shukla, Ma'am, and all the distinguished panelists, all the distinguished students, all the people who are listening to this happiness session. The aim is very simple. We have to just go for the small things. If I want to go for the consequence for this essence of this session, we should aim for the bigger things, but we have to be steady in the small things also. Let those small things not go away, because as we grow, we need those small things also, because the past is our past, but they have to be steady enough. We cannot build a palace unless the foundation is strong. The pebbles are important. The palace is also important. The palace depends on the pebbles, first of all. So first of all, thank you so much, everybody. And I have just sent a small message in the chat box. Okay, we will be soon converting this event into a white paper. This will also come in a newspaper also, all the wordy thoughts that you all have shared. And soon, Eunoia concept will be shared with all of you, which will give the essence of this to our deliberation by each one of you. Thank you so much to everybody for taking time and sharing your wonderful thoughts and the hearts. And I'm sure we stayed together for long. Thank you so much. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. With the permission of the Honorable Chancellor, I thank everybody and request IT to close the session. Be happy, stay safe.
Thank you
so much, everybody.